Marvel comic movies, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. You got these different movies where you've got the main character who uh, can do something that can make a difference for good in the world. Spider-Man can climb walls, uh, do things to help keep the city safe. These are very Christian themes, and they tie in well today as we get into book 2, chapter 4 of Mere Christianity. The title of the chapter is The Perfect Penitent. So going to come back to this theme of Marvel Comics in a little bit. I wanted to start, though, with looking at the big picture of how chapter 4 fits in to the book as a whole. So starting off here in the top left, the moral law, where did it come from? We did this back in book 1, but it's good to take a few steps back. So there's 3 possible causes of why we all have this sense of right and wrong, this moral law. There's the materialist, the religious, or life force philosophy, are 3 possible causes. Lewis says the religious view makes the most sense, which means that there's a mind that created the world. This mind eventually he comes to call God, and says we can say come from the pantheist point of view, or one God, like a Christian God, which Lewis eventually lands on as our one God is a Christian God. How to reconcile there being a God with evil in the world? Lewis chooses the second choice, that there's one good God out of these 2 choices here, eventually saying that it makes the most sense. Again, I'm kind of going through this pretty quick here, but just want to kind of sum things up. Why does God allow evil? That's still a question. Even if God just allows evil to happen, God himself is not evil. He's perfect goodness. Why does he allow evil in the world? Lewis pins down the answer to God gives us free will. We can choose to do good. We can choose to do evil. Sometimes we choose evil, and that creates this evil in the world. And the devil also ties into this as well, which we got into in book 2. We've also spoken of that a little bit as well. What has God done to help us? This is chapter 3. We just did, so chapter 3, we find that God, he gives us his only son, Jesus. He says at the end of book 3, Jesus is either a liar, a lunatic, or Lord. And just walking through it, using logic, he says that we have the most evidence that supports that Jesus is Lord, that he's not a liar, he's not a lunatic. Jumping into chapter 4, the perfect penitent, Lewis, remember, previously an atheist, someone that did not believe in God. He's all the way up to the point now in book 4 where, hey, Jesus is God. But he wants to ask the question, what did Jesus do for us? So that's one of the questions, one of the main themes of chapter 4. What did Jesus do for you and I? And then also, what did Jesus' crucifixion, him dying there on Good Friday, what did that do for us? How did that help us? So those are 2 fundamental questions that Lewis asks in chapter 4 that I want you to invite you to pay attention to as you go through your study guide. Marvel Comics, coming back to it. So Spider-Man, he can do, I love Spider-Man's one of my favorites. He can do things to help make the city a safer place, save people's lives. Very Christian theme, because we can see how the saints have done similar things, how Jesus has done something similar. Just kind of maybe keep that in the back of your mind as you go through chapter 4 and listen to it. what has Jesus done to save our city, to save our world, to make it a safer and better place?